All right. Good evening. So I was just inhaling my dinner there. Where are we? EpicReact.Dev. Good evening. Should probably put some glasses on. Okay, so I took a week off last week because I was absolutely burnt out, had no energy. But I'm back tonight to finish the advanced patterns module on Kinsey Dodds' course, which is cool. We're on the last exercise, control props. If I recall, I finished, what did I do? I finished the basic exercise and I think I'm on to the advanced tasks, which is cool. Gonna take it quite easy tonight because I've had quite a heavy day. So I'll see where I get to on this and then maybe start the following module. But I'm just going to reacclimatize and see what the hell's going on. And after a week off, this is all going to be pretty foreign to me. So it'll take me about 5 minutes to acclimatize. So sometimes people want to be able to manage the internal state of our component from the outside. The state reducer allows them to manage what state changes are made when a state change happens, but sometimes people may want to make state changes themselves. We can allow them to do this with a feature called control props. This concept is basically the same as controlled form elements in React. Okay, where you would pass a value which is normally stored in state, and then you pass an onChange handler which updates the state. Cool. In this case, the component that's implemented the control props pattern is the input. Cool. So we're allowing something, we're allowing something outside to control the state of our component. Okay, that makes sense. I seem to remember that example making sense last time, and then the exercise completely baffling me. This flexibility allows us to change how the state is managed by capitalizing the value. It makes suggestions to you. Is that just the event? Is that what the suggestions are? This flexibility allows us to change how the state is managed. And it also allows us to programmatically change the state whenever we want to, which enables this kind of synchronized input situation. Whenever either of those inputs change, this callback is executed, which updates both of these state values, which updates this. Okay. In this exercise, we've created a toggle component which can accept a prop called on. So this is the part I think I've done. We have a prop called on. Another called onChange. So I have started this. Okay, I'm just going to remove this because I'm pretty sure they don't work. Pretty sure this works, but the others did not. And I'm going to remove that log. Let's get rid of that too. Preview, I'm guessing I don't need that either. Let's grab that. Sorry, just closing something out there. Okay, in this exercise we created a toggle component, accepts a prop called on and another called onChange. These work similar to that of input. Your job is to make those props actually control the state of on and call the onChange with the suggested changes. I remember now. I ran into lots of trouble because on is a prop that we're passing here. On is actually a value that is returned to us, but we also pass the value through on this use toggle. Our use toggle is expecting an on property, which is different to the returned on value. So we're going to use this alias. So we have toggle on, both on. Oh, why am I missing? There we go. What's that nullify button? That looks like something I've added. Set both on to null. Ah, Gregor. Thanks for the follow, man. How you doing? Take this out because I'm pretty sure I'm breaking everything here. Set fonts. Cool, so that's working. Reset. Why are you tearing your hair out? Happens. I'm awful at jQuery, in all honesty. I've not used it in quite some time. Yeah, I wouldn't even know where to begin. I remember the $sign, and that's about it. What is it you're trying to do? Let's remove number from that. Glad I could help. Sometimes you just need to talk it out. Okay. I have a toggle component which accepts two props. It accepts an on and an on change. If either of these change, it's going to update handle toggle change. This will get called with a state and an action. So this component's on change is going to take an event and then do something with it, and it's going to return a function. Okay. Let's try and follow this up the tree. So we're going to pass on an on change to this toggle component. So here's our toggle, and it accepts an on and an on change prop that we're passing through. So if we're passing an on prop here, we can determine one of two things. It's either going to be read only, pardon me, or is going to be a controlled input. So we're going to, I've lost it. Here we are. So I'm going to change this. I'm going to alias this to is controlled. So if this on prop is passed, we'll say it's controlled, and then we pass the change handler. About 5 years, I think. 5, maybe 6 now. Professionally. I've been doing it for like 4 or 5 years passively before that. But only professionally for about 5-6 years. What about you? Is controlled. We can determine is read only. So here's the two. So we have is read only, and then we have a controlled component. So if on is passed, but no on change handler is passed, then we can say it's read only. Nice. I think I've got about 7 minutes of PHP experience. I did a little bit of WordPress early on. Big templates give me PTSD. part makes sense. The props. Well, I'm using Gatsby now, so I'm pretty sure they're affiliated with WordPress now anyway. It's basically just WordPress and JavaScript. I'm calling the use toggle hook here. The use toggle hook accepts two props, accepts an on and an on change handler. And it's going to return an object with an on value and get toggler props. So it's going to return a method for get the props. Okay, so let's look at use toggle. Let's use toggle up to. It's going to take some default values, which we're going to ignore for now. It's not going to be on by default, and we have a reducer above this. And here's our controlled on and our on change. Is on controlled. It's a terrible naming. Is on controlled. Ah, is the on input controlled. Okay. If it doesn't equal null or undefined, then we can say it's controlled. And we can say the on prop will either use this value, whether it's being controlled, and if that value is not passed to it, then we will use the component's internal state, which will be set in the reducer. So say we don't pass a controlled on value, then we'll go through this reducer, and if we toggle, then it'll set the on value to the previous value of it. So if it was off, it'll be on, and vice versa. So if we don't pass this value through, then we use the internal state, similar to the input with the controlled input example. That makes sense? Dispatch with on change. Toggle. Now, why is it called dispatch with on change? We have two handler functions. One is to get the props. And the other is to get the resetter props. So the on value that is returned from use toggle will either be the value that we're passing into it, or our default state value if nothing is provided. So we'll always return an on value. A reset, a toggle, get toggler props, and get. So let's look at this. So we're only using these two for just now. I think I removed the reset. We have this get toggler props function, which we're going to call. And that's going to give us our props back. So this gets called, which is this. Interesting. This is expecting an on click. So this will return props to the component. It will return an on-click prop to the component, which will call all, which means it will call both of these functions on the same on-click handler. So it will call the on-click that is passed through. If I was to pass through an on-click here, let's try this actually. So let's pass an on-click, which is a function. Let's pass a custom on-click. Let's test my sanity. There we go. So the custom on-click is firing, and this toggle is also firing because we can see this is changing. That's cool. That makes sense. Aria pressed is, oh, I thought it was on. Aria pressed is either going to be true if on is true. So if on is true, we can say that this is pressed. I'm just going to open this up. So we have an input here. Aria pressed is true. That's cool. Oh, it's actually on the span. Did not know that. Oh. And then any other props we're going to pass to it is actually going to just be returned. Okay, that makes sense. Dispatch with on change still baffles me. So what are we doing here? We're going to pass that an action, which is going to be an object. If is on controlled is false, call dispatch with that action. Then call on change, which explains the dispatch with on change. So if an on change handler exists, then call the on change and pass the suggested changes and the action. Our suggested changes would be the result of calling our reducer, which is this default one. Oh my god. If an on change handler is passed, call the on change function and pass it two things. Pass it our suggested changes, which would be the result of calling the reducer, and return the action. So if we called reducer, we take the current state value, but we want to pass our value of on. We want to pass this value of on. That's our suggested change. Because if we don't pass this, then it will pass state.on, which wouldn't be this. Okay, and then we pass the action. So now if we go back to this, we call this handle toggle change, which accepts two arguments, state and an action, which is this. So this is our state, because we're going to call the reducer with our suggested changes, and then we're going to get the action. So we're going to say the action.type equal to action types.toggle. I think this is just a dictionary. Yep. And the times clicked is greater than 4, then return, otherwise set both on. Set times clicked. Okay. That mostly makes sense. So if I now go back to the exercise, make those props actually suggest it. I seem to remember almost having it, and the reason I missed it was because I passed the reducer, but I just passed the regular state. I didn't pass our suggested on. This toggle accepts two things. It's accepting an on, and it's accepting an on change. So I think our on click we want to call on change. Get toggler props is expecting an on click and some props. So we're passing it an on click and whatever other props we want to pass to it. And our on change here why is that freaking out? Cannot read property type of undefined. Because use toggle is taking the on change. It's being called with a dispatch. Do I? Okay. What did I break there? Let's just roll that back. Let's not pass. Let's keep our custom on click here. Cool. Let's reset that. So if this is giving me all the props I need, use toggle. Use toggle returns this. Get toggler props. Accepts an on click and it returns. I wonder if I could add the on here. Be in scope. Pardon me. let's say I did that, right? I had the get toggler props. I'm calling that. Technically shouldn't need this, right? That should still work. Cool. And that still works because all I need is the function here. And on will be returned in the get toggler props. Interesting that it's not done that way, but I will take their word for it. Okay, so we need to add a read-only warning. You provided a value prop to a form field without an on-change handler, which I'm pretty sure I have, right? Where's my warning? Here it is. So warning will be called if this statement evaluates to false. So if read-only is true, if read-only is not false, so if read-only is true, then say you provided a value prop without an on-change handler. So if we try that, did not work. So we're passing this. On is controlled. Where's my control does not equal null? Yeah, it's this. I need this. This will determine whether it's read-only. Because at the moment, I'm saying if it's controlled and not on change. But this value is interchangeable. How could I do that? It's not equal. Let's just say that. No? So read-only is false. Which is correct, actually, right? And then I'm just going to take this one out, get the logs down a little bit. That's perfect. And then if I remove this on change, it is read-only. Cool. So we're just checking to make sure that is controlled is either true or false. And if that's the case, and no on-change handler is passed, then we call this as read-only. Cool. So at least I fixed that bug. And yeah, it's read-only, so we won't be able to change that. So let's just put that back. And I'm pretty sure this is where I got 2 last time. Add a controlled state warning. With that read-only warning in place, next try and add a warning for when the user changes from controlled to uncontrolled. So, I'm just going to try and write this in plain English. So if it goes from uncontrolled to controlled, it means that on was previously null or undefined, and then it became true or false. So it's going from uncontrolled to controlled, and then if we're going from controlled to uncontrolled, the opposite. That. So for this to work, we're going to need to reference the previous value. It's my doc. Let's have a look. So React reference previous value. So the doc, let's go to the docs. Yeah. How can you get the previous props? Currently, you can do it manually. Okay, so we are going to create a ref. Previous count ref. And where is my warning? Cool, so it's in the toggle. So let's create a ref in here to begin with. Previous ref. And we're going to create an effect here. If I could spell. If I could type. And inside this effect, we're going to say previous toggle ref. Its current value equals on, the current value of on. We want this to run on every render. So we can say the const previous toggle. It's previous toggle ref current. So what's going to happen? This toggle function is going to execute. This will execute last, so we'll ignore this for now. Let's take this out. I like to put refs at the top because I'm weird. So we have a previous ref. It's not doing anything at the moment. And previous toggle on the first, this will initially equal undefined. Let's actually just make it null. It'll be null to begin with. I'll skip over this warning, and it will return the switch, and it will run this effect. So let's use the effect. And it will set the previous toggle ref's current value to be the current value of on. So let's say that was off. This defaults to off. This will be off. I then toggle it, which means we'll come back in here again. We'll come through all of this. We'll use or use toggle hook or get toggle or props. This previous toggle is going to equal the current value of the ref, which is currently still set to on. Oh, sorry. Talking nonsense. Which is currently set to off. This will now be off. This will run, it will return, the effect will run, and the previous will now be the return value of this, and this will become on. Okay, that makes sense. So, const was controlled. And const was uncontrolled. You need two variables here. And a dictionary. It was controlled if previous toggle ref was my comment. It was uncontrolled if the previous toggle ref equals null or undefined. You can actually say null, maybe. Let's keep it null or undefined. And the current on value does not equal null or undefined. And it'd be the opposite way here, right? Use toggle ref does not equal null. I'm trying to learn to touch type and it is going horribly. On equals. There's a lot of null checks here, but I can tidy this up later. So we have a was controlled, was uncontrolled. Let's go back to our exercise. So alarm bells are immediately ringing here because these should both be false. So this evaluates to true, which means one of these statements is true. Let's take a look, find out which one. So let's look at, does that need to go there? Should need to go after the effect. I think I can do that. I actually don't think I need this. I think I can just say dot current here. Save myself a variable. Nope, still both. Okay. Previous toggle ref. Got it. So both of these values. What? They're just going to take one of these off. Reduce the number of logs. Maybe I'm just tired in my conditions though. This is cool because if I say this is the previous value and then this is the current value, maybe if I tidy up the language it'll be easier. So the previous was false and it's currently toggled on. No. Previously it was false, now it's true. Previously it was true, now it's false. So at least that's working. Was the component controlled? Nah. Because the current value doesn't equal null or undefined. There we go. Neither of these were true, so it returned false. Oh, no, wait. One of these returned true. Yes, this returned true or false. Okay, at least they're both working. So I need to create two warnings here. It's controlled. Changed from controlled to uncontrolled. Uncontrolled. And this one changed. Controlled. Controlled. Okay, so those warnings shouldn't fire here. Cool. I'm just going to take these logs out because I know this works. Just going to reset. Cool. So I'm going to say if the times clicked equals 2. Set both on to null. So because and I want to return so it doesn't do that. So it doesn't execute these. So I was passing it an on. Let's just log that. So both on's false, true, false, null. The problem is that is not the value that is passed this. Oh no, it is. Ah, it's not the on value I want here. It's controlled. Let's reset. Bingo. This is this value I want to evaluate, not the returned value of the used toggle. Okay, so we're passing in an on value. The previous toggle ref. It's controlled. Should give it the same thing. Let's reset that. Oop. Cool. Let's set it both on to be true. So I should be flipping it back here. So if we go back, oh, I've just realized you can't see my logs. Idiot. You just need to take my word for it that it's correct. So let's reset. Click it once. Our custom on click fires, both on are true. Everything's as expected. Would have thought that would have. Can't believe I've done that whole thing without being able to see my logs. Let's take a look at the number of times clicked. Both on defaults to false. Change it from controlled to uncontrolled. That needs fixed, but we'll remove it for now, pretend it's not happening. And the times clicked is one behind. So we've changed from uncontrolled to controlled here. Something's fucky. rid of these. Let's just refresh this. So we're starting from scratch. Okay, so this is firing. So it's changing from controlled to uncontrolled. Means this is true. That is true because this ref doesn't exist yet. Let's remove this one for now. This isn't correct. We changed from uncontrolled to controlled. These aren't right. I seem to be running into issues. I'm going to swap this from on. From this to this. Why is this wrong? Oh, I took the wrong thing there. They're also the wrong way around. All right, it's 9 o'clock. So I normally take a 5-minute break here, but at least I kind of know what's wrong. I'm going to take a 5-minute break and then I'll come back and fix this. All right. Okay, problems started happening when I set this to be uncontrolled. So, we shouldn't need this because state dot. My dog just stole a sock off my foot. And has disappeared. Okay, we shouldn't need that. Times clicked equals 3 because this will increment the click, which means this will no longer happen, which means this will go back to normal. So let's just refresh this. Oh. Changing from uncontrolled to controlled, and that's because the type. This is actually happening. That's cool. That makes sense because this one isn't firing. What if I turn this on? Let's refresh. Okay, so we'll work out why that's happening to begin with. It's saying it changed from controlled to uncontrolled. And that's because this ref defaults to null. So this will be null and this defaults to false. So this will initially be true. That's annoying. Do it in the effect. How do we skip the first one? I got these the wrong way around. I feel like I have. is controlled was true or false. It should be this. And is now null or undefined. Yeah, that's the right way around. And so my problem at the moment is when this ref is first declared, its initial value will be null. Which is not great. Because I want to check. I have no idea. I have no idea how to skip the first render. What if I make... no, because if I removed it, it would be undefined. I can't guarantee it's going to be null. Ignoring this one for now. Saying we've changed from uncontrolled to controlled. Both on are reset this. Both on's true. Both on's false. This is true this time, so it'll be set to null. We actually changed to the opposite there. I feel like it's close. Let's take a look at this. Let's just reset it. Go. Once we click it once, let's just remove that custom one-click handler because it's not doing anything. Let's reset. Cool. So, we're true. Was it uncontrolled? No. Because the... current value is true. And the previous is false. So it's not swapped. False. This is now true because the current value is null. So this is the wrong way around. So this should be was controlled. And this is was uncontrolled. is it changed from a Boolean value, to an object. So we can see it was controlled. And then when we click it again, let's bring this back now. Just log them all. And if I reset this, let's sort this out. It's the final piece. So we get this warning, and the reason we get the warning is incorrect. Well, the logic is correct, but my definition is incorrect. And it's because this defaults to null and is controlled defaults to true or false. It actually defaults to false. So this statement returns true. I have no idea. In the effect, we're running this to check. We want the warning inside the toggle component. There's no sense in putting it in the app. Because if we put it in the app, the toggle component should be responsible for warning the dev tools if something has went wrong. Don't need that. Name's clicked. Gonna give this the half past and then check the answer. Because I'm not sure. Subtrain. Yeah, sorry, I was knee deep in that. I've got absolutely no idea how I'm going to solve this. Nice founder badge, Barbara. Cheers, man. I don't know why I didn't get the notification that you'd subbed. Perform. Wait, I'll throw a test one for you. Solve this. Cool, man. I'll be around from 10 if you're about. Oh, this wasn't. Oh, no, sorry. We would know. Of interest, what happens if I log? Last gasp. If I log is controlled, which is the on prop that's passed through, and then I log on, which is the return value that comes back here. I'm just going to silence this for a second. Let's bump to the side. Ah, they're both false. Balls. Both true. Both false. That's not gonna do it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna watch the answer because I am stuck. Let's find out. Controlled state warning. I was gonna watch this like 4 minutes long, and then I'll be back. Ah, so close. So goddamn close. Instead of initializing this to null, we want to set this to the initial value of on is controlled. So and we're going to say current value of this was on was controlled. Oh wait, I'm tripping. One sec. All right. I had this in the wrong place anyway. So let's remove this for now. Let's grab this. Let's move up. Is on controlled is going to be here. And we're going to say was on controlled. And that's going to be set to controlled on. This will initially be set to the value that is passed through here. We know if it's currently controlled, and then we know if it's previously controlled. We're going to have a effect in here. let's grab those warnings. We need two conditions here. If it's changing from controlled to uncontrolled. So if was uncontrolled was true and is uncontrolled is now false, then it's changed from controlled to uncontrolled. This will be the opposite. So if was uncontrolled and let's just remove this. It changed from uncontrolled to controlled there because it started as undefined and then we clicked it and then it set it to on, which would change from an object to a Boolean. It goes from that to that. If I initialize this to false and then I set this to null, I get that same problem. What have I done? Okay, so let's reset that. Is uncontrolled is currently true. And that's because this controlled on does not equal null or undefined. And that's because we've initialized this with false, which makes sense. Hold on, I don't want to default. I don't want this to default to the prop that's passed in. I want this to appear below this. I want it to initialize to this. Cool. It's now changed from controlled to uncontrolled because it was false, and then we're setting this to null. If I change that back to state.on, I start off as undefined and go to that. These will both be false, and then I've changed from uncontrolled to controlled because I'm going from undefined to a Boolean value. Oh, that's complicated. It makes sense that we have everything up here inside this use toggle hook. We are creating a ref and we are initializing it with this value. Why are we doing that? Because we're first checking to see. Yeah, so these will both be the same to begin with. So neither of these will fire, because in order for these to fire, these need to be different. These will both be the same on the first render, because nothing will have happened, and this ref's current value will equal this. If it changes, this value will run. Where am I updating that value though? I suppose I could just do it in here, right? Let's do it after the warnings. Was uncontrolled. Was on. Oh, don't cut it, don't cut it. I don't really understand what's going on. The docs give a kind of different example here where we're setting. Let's go. Where is it? The solution is discussed in the official React docs. Let's go here. Okay, so we set a ref here, and then on the effect on every render, we set the current to the previous state value. We're setting a ref here, which is initialized to this. And the current value of it is was uncontrolled. I have no idea how that's storing the previous value. Like, when does this ref update? I want to see the value of this. Was uncontrolled, false, which makes sense, right? Because we initialize it with the is uncontrolled, which will come through and defaults to false. If we click this, was uncontrolled, still false. Changing from uncontrolled to controlled here. Because we're going from this to this. So this should turn true. Oh, no. No, it shouldn't. Was it controlled? No. It wasn't. But now it is. Yeah, something needs to update that value because it'll just never change. So in the effect, let's just write this out so I understand it a bit better. So if the toggle ref.current on the effect toggle ref.current needs on as a dependency. Let's just add it, see what happens. Okay, reset. Was uncontrolled false, which is correct because we have initialized to false. It's changed from uncontrolled to controlled. Fuck me, this is tough. We initialize it so these are both the same. Ah, I did not mean to do that. Okay, false. We're changing from uncontrolled to controlled. Oh man. We know the component is being controlled if the controlled on value is true or false, right? So if the current value is true or if it's false, we know it's being controlled. Was it controlled? If the previous... Yeah. I want to see if that's true or false, right? So we know it was controlled if the previous value is true or false. Just ignore the warnings for now. Just give me the logs. Was uncontrolled. That previously wasn't being controlled, and it's currently not being controlled. It previously wasn't being controlled. It is now being controlled because in the second click, we're passing this through. So we know that. If was uncontrolled was true, and is uncontrolled. Yeah. If was uncontrolled was false and is uncontrolled is true, we know this one's correct. Because we start off both false and then we're swapping from false to true. So we're swapping from uncontrolled to controlled. That makes sense. If I click it again, this value is not updating. This ref needs to update. Maybe we don't need this one. Because this is storing the previous value of it. One version of it was uncontrolled. Toggle ref. That should now be true. Was uncontrolled should now be true. I've had that on the entire time, haven't I? How do I update that ref? Oh my god, I think I got it. So we need to update the ref's value. And then if I change this, save it. These are both false. And it's changing from uncontrolled to controlled. And if I change this to false, and then I remove this, we refresh, changing from controlled to uncontrolled. Oh, that was nasty. I actually think the solution may be incorrect. Let's go to the, where am I? Let's go to the exercise. Oh, I dropped the exercise. Idiot. Control props. Final. Extra credit is the read-only warning. Controlled state warning. This is fine. Oh yeah, how am I gonna... Am I gonna demo that? Let's grab final 6.2. Swap that over. Let's open this up. And then let's set this to undefined. Changing from uncontrolled to controlled. Don't know. Don't know why his is working and mine's not. Just have the ref here. Well, I'm going to go back to mine for now. Because that is all I have time for this week. But that was pretty tough. I actually didn't get to finish it, which is a bit gutting. But I would rather do it properly rather than just skimming over it and not actually learning anything throughout it. That is still not mine. This is mine. Let's just double check this before I finish. So we're changing from controlled to uncontrolled. Cool. Let's just tidy up the logs so I can pick it up. But I'm going to finish up at 10 o'clock and then I'll be back on Thursday to definitely finish this module. But that was pretty difficult, in all honesty. For such a simple feature, that was actually maybe a bit more complicated than it needs to be. Anyway, at least it's in a working state. So I will leave it there. And thanks for watching. And I will see you on Thursday.